This is the 1% Doctor, a podcast that takes you beyond the white coat, diving into unique stories and passions that drive top doctors in their specialties. We explore their journeys, what fuels their passion, and the human side of medicine, interviewing the best in the field to uncover what truly sets them apart. This is the human behind the doctor. And now, here's your host, Adam Lamb.
Welcome back to the 1% Doctor Podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, amazing health expert, almost 30 years in the game. You may be heard of him, probably one of the most interesting guys I know. That's why I'm super excited to have him on the podcast. I think you were going to love and learn so much by listening to my friend John Jubilee here. He is definitely the expert in a topic you maybe not heard of, but you need to know about, called intracellular hydration. And I'm going to give it over to John soon because I'll hack it up. But John, welcome to the show. You're one of the most interesting guys I've ever met for a lot of reasons, and incredibly intelligent. And the things that you know about, and we'll talk for those watching your age, no one will guess it. And your accomplishments and the things you've done at certain ages is pretty amazing, and what you've studied and patented and all of these things. So I'm excited. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. John Jubilee, give us a little background. Tell, where are you from? What got you started in the healthcare space? And then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, well, first of all, Adam, so great to be here, and I feel the same about you. You're an extraordinary person. You've had such incredible impact, and we have such cool alignment, on, wanting to help people and for them to be able to be in their optimal health at the cellular level and live a long, healthy, powerful life. And so,
yes,
so delighted to be here with your audience. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's dive in. What kind of got you into the health bug, so to speak? When?
Well, what really got me in there, Adam, was my own personal pain. So, maybe like a lot of people that have, impacted the world in a profound way, it was because of some of their own personal experiences. And that certainly is my story. And it really started, I played a lot of sports growing up, a lot of street ball with the boys in the hood, playing basketball on concrete, playing football.
Where'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up in the inner city of Columbus, Ohio, a place called The Bottoms. They call it The Bottoms, Adam, because it's one step below the projects.
Okay.
So it was, let's just say it was an exciting place to grow up, so it was, abject poverty. Everybody was poor, black, white, Hispanic, everybody was poor people there. And, everybody was in a struggle. And so I grew up in that struggle, but I wouldn't change it for anything. I was delivering papers at 4:00 in the morning when I was 9 years old. And by the time I was 15 years old, I worked in a iron foundry, grinding iron 10 at night till 6 in the morning, went to high school during the day, banking all my money to go to college. But thankfully, I scored good on that SAT test. I got a full ride to Indiana University. And so, but my health journey, because of all those sports and no cartilage left in my knees, and anybody that has joint pain knows when you got no cartilage in your knees, you sound like a box of Rice Krispies, you snap, crackle, and popping, every step of your life, and every step is a step of pain. But I was a successful banker, so I had plenty of money, and I spent it, Adam, on my health. I knew my health was priceless, and I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for 10 years trying to get healthy. I was drinking a gallon of water a day for 10 years, but nothing was really sustainable. Nothing helped me. I had high blood pressure. I had hypertension. Being a banker, I kind of ended up with, what that banker belly that you cover with your suit coat. And so I'm in pain. I was about 10 inches too big in my waist. I had my high blood pressure. What's that?
You didn't like the way you looked, right?
No, I hated that. And I didn't even realize how bad I looked. I would challenge any man to do this, by the way, I read an article, Adam, that we as men, we have a disconnect. We think we look a certain way in our head, and then we look at a picture of ourselves and reality hits us. And that really is what happened to me. I was shocked when I looked at a picture of myself, and I was mortified. So I really looked as bad as I felt, which was definitely not a good thing. But one Saturday morning, I get up. I have 8 kids. I got 6 boys and 2 girls. And I got up one Saturday morning to throw the football with a couple of my boys. And I go out in that backyard, and within, 10, 12 minutes, I'm in so much pain, I can't take it. So I go back in the house, I plop down on the couch and I'm really depressed. I'm depressed. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I am the couch potato dad. I'm the couch potato dad. Like I can't even play with my own kids. Something has to change. And so that was my moment. That was, my revelation moment that I have to find something different. And so Adam, I went and did
How
all
old were you when you had that moment? Like,
37. I was 37 years old.
How old are you today?
And it's funny that you say that because, most people think I look a lot younger than I am.
You do. Well, that's why I mention it. My wife gets mad when I remind people she'll be 50 this year because she looks like she's like 34.
I love it. I love it. Well, I am 65. Yeah, I'm 65 years young, but I'm thrilled to be able to say I'm the strongest I've ever been. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I have not been sick for 30 years. So ever since I did this intracellular hydration protocol, I'd had one day of sickness. And interestingly, and conversely, of everything they told us as men, we're going to lose our muscle as we get older. We're going to lose our strength. Our best years were high school or college, whatever. That is a total myth. That is a misnomer because I can tell everyone, that's listening to us today, at 65, I am the strongest and healthiest I've ever been in my whole life. And I really believe that we can get stronger and better as we age.
Agreed.
So my journey was I created this protocol for myself. I created this protocol of intracellular hydration and uniquely enough, my journey was very unique, Adam, because I already knew all the stuff doctors had told me for 10 years. And so when I went and did my research, I'm a simplifier. Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain it to a child, you don't understand it.
Agree. I teach the same thing to the doctors I coach. As if a 10-year-old can't understand how you help them, we got to refine your messaging.
So good. No, so good. And so this is what I tell people is, listen, in all of my research and what I've learned over the last 29 years, we're basically a big bag of cells. We're just a big bag of cells and water. That's it. Everything in your body is made out of cells, and all of them are surrounded in a pool of water. So if your cells are healthy, everything has to be healthy because that's everything in your body is cells. And then when I researched, well, how do you make a cell healthy? I realized, oh my goodness, it's so simple. Like you just need to get the hydration inside the cell, which is not simple, by the way, because the cell has two membranes that are keeping the water from being able to permeate the cell. The cell basically is as hard as a glass marble, and that water is bouncing off and it's going straight down in the toilet. By the way, and so are all of our supplements. I tell people I had really expensive pee because I took about $1,000 a month of supplements for 10 years. And after the fact, I realized none of that's getting in my cells. It's all going down in the toilet. And so my focus, after I measured my hydration in 1997, I was 20 pounds low on hydration and realized this is a guy that's drinking a gallon of water a day for 10 years and I'm 20 pounds low. Everybody must.
I never paid attention to this till recently. I got one of those hum scales. I don't know how you feel, how accurate it might be, and it measures. So I was looking at this prior to our call because I knew we'd obviously be talking about this. And it, say my body water percentage is 64.4%, extracellular 48.5, intracellular water 88.8 pounds, and mineral mass 2.6 pounds. And I'm 213. I never even thought to measure something like how accurate do you think that is? And is it like, how do people pay attention to that? Like explain some of that. I'm a measure guy. I started measuring my HRV and like all these other things, I'm become a diagnostic junkie and people aren't even thinking about that, right? They're I have my water and I drink my water all day. Like, how do we measure that? How do we, and I know you're going to get into some of the stuff, but like explain that a little bit. So like people like unpack that a bit more.
No, well, first of all, Adam, congratulations that you're even trying to know what yours is. And again, this was a discovery 29 years ago for me of recognizing, and the device I used cost $11,000, by the way. In 1997, it cost $11,000 to measure and realize, okay, for me, I was 20 pounds low. A gallon of water is about 8.3 pounds. So I was almost 3 gallons low.
Wow. People don't understand like that has to do with your metabolic rate, how well you burn fat, obviously energy, all of these things to function in your body by being, we'll say, for lack of a better term, dehydrated. But
Well, it is an interest. And to answer your question, so I've researched about 50 devices. Your device is a newer one. I've not researched that device, so I don't know how accurate it is. I can tell you though, from my wife and I, our whole living room was full of these devices at one time. We had them from all over Europe, China, America, everywhere. We had 50 of them because we were measuring them all against the in-body. The in-body, and when I say the in-body sells anywhere from $5,000 to $31,000.
that's like the thing you hold the.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's typically only at super high-end med spas. It's very hard to find the $31,000 one.
And I think that this scale that I'm talking about, the HUM HU, it's similar. Like it's a scale you stand on and you hold this thing. And again, I don't know it's a $300 thing. Maybe stuff comes a long way, but.
Well, again, I just share real data with people. So I can tell you that most of the scales that we tested that were like that, they were off as much as 30.
Wow. Okay.
And so we did, we did our research on it. Now I can tell you, based on your scale, your intracellular hydration is 41%. And so I just did a quick calculation there. So you're 41 intracellular hydration. Well, the goal is to be 60% intracellular hydration. So that's optimal hydration for intracellular hydration.
And how do you get there? And I know we'll get to it. It sounds like maybe, but.
Yeah. Well, again, isn't it amazing though that, your doctor doesn't even know the numbers you just said.
Well, they probably don't even know what intracellular hydration is.
No, they really don't. And listen, and I am a fan of doctors, by the way. So Adam, we have several hundred doctors that are our clients, and they, with all humility, they will say, no, I never learned this in med school. In fact, they've told me, they said, John Jubilee, no, you cracked the code on health and wellness. This is what the doctors say. They say, you cracked the code. And why? Because we went to med school and we were trained to look for symptoms.
Yes.
And treat every symptom with a pharmaceutical drug. And then if you get a side effect from the pharmaceutical drug, we give you another drug to offset the side effect. This was our 12-year training. So of course, that's all we know.
I had a similar experience going into the hormone optimization, health optimization, like the peptides, all these things are pretty popular today. For 10 years, running studies, have the data, changing, looking at blood work, getting the how the patient feels, how we're optimizing some of those things. And again, none of that's taught. There's no peptide talk. There's no hormone or health optimization. Medicine is typically taught is sick care versus healthcare, right? Like true healthcare is living healthier. So it's no knock at them. They just, but it's becoming, thankfully, and guys like you that are doing this research and having this data, like people are starting to pay more attention to how they can manage their health. And like you said, like not be sick. I don't remember the last time I was sick, right? There's just certain things that our bodies are getting in our everyday life. And so if we're not paying attention, we're not intentional, we're not monitoring it, we're not learning some of these things, your standard primary care is probably not going to teach you because they don't know. It's not their fault. They just don't know. Right.
And that's exactly it. I mean, that's exactly it. You can't get mad at someone that's ignorant. So if all you've ever been trained is one way, but then there's a better way. Now, I will say we've had some doctors come alongside with us, partner with us, and some famous, some of the doctors that got famous during COVID, the frontline doctors, that stood up against the medical establishment. Several of them have became our client. So they've done our intracellular hydration protocol. One of them in Texas is doing a clinical study for us right now to document because they said, and it's taken us to the level now, realize we have 29 years of data. And because we're fully medical approved and HIPAA compliant, we have so much data. We just did a submission to Health and Human Services, to RFK's office and said, listen, our protocol could save the U.S. government $8 billion year one. Like that's what intracellular hydration can take so many of these people off of their high blood pressure meds, their diabetes meds. And why? Because it flushes out all the inflammation As you know, 99.9% of every illness and disease, of every pain in a human body, the root cause is one thing. It's inflammation.
Yep.
And
And our food and our environment and everything like that is just pounding that inflammation into our bodies.
It's pounding it. It's exacerbating it every day of our life. But if you walk into a dark room and you turn on the light, there is no darkness. If you put intracellular hydration in a human body, there is no more inflammation. We had a medical professional out here in California one morning. She calls me on my cell phone and says, is this John Jubilee? Yes, it is. She said, where are you at? I said, well, where are you at? She said, I want you to drop a pin. I'm going to drive wherever you are and meet you today. And I thought that was hilarious. I dropped a pin. She said, you're 5 hours away. I'm driving to your home. I'm a medical professional on the cutting edge, of science, of health, of education, of, all things medical. And she said, I'm going to come measure you. So this woman drives to our house. And I told my wife, honey, some wild woman's driving to our house.
Yeah.
So this woman shows up with these two devices, and one of them was a FDA approved phase angle, and it measures the health of a cell and it measures inflammation. And she hooked us up. And of course, our health of our cell was off the chart. It was above the healthiest line you could have, but our inflammation was below zero, my wife and I both. And she said, no, I am mind blown. She said, what I saw happen to 2 of your clients in 1 month cannot happen in 10 years. She said their inflammation was sky high and it basically went to 0 in 4 weeks on your protocol.
Wow.
She said, but when I saw those numbers, I said, this is medically impossible what this man has done with this protocol for you guys. I got to go measure it. And she said, if I wasn't going to retire, I'd quit my job today and come work for you. She said, cool. You guys really do go to.
Can you talk a little bit about, I know that's a protocol. People can sign up, work with you. Is there any general information you can share on someone? How would someone know? What are some symptoms? Let's start there. How is someone experiencing life besides obvious things of maybe I got knee pain, like you mentioned, maybe there's the Rice Krispie treat when you get out of bed, snap, crackle, pop, right? There's what are some of the reasons why someone would think about wanting to learn more about what you do based on from a symptom standpoint that they might be experiencing?
Yeah, no, I love this, Adam. And really, especially speaking to this audience, people that are more educated and have already probably tried many, many, many things out there.
And our audience is 50-50 of potential patients, but also there's a lot of physicians that listen here because they want to get better.
Well, good. Well, here's what I would say. So anyone that has any type of pain in your body, all pain is inflammation. And by the way, I will say a very bold statement, but I can back it up with empirical evidence, not just for myself, but we have tens of thousands of clients. We just switched to a new platform. I think there was 70,000 people in there. So we have a lot of clients. We have a lot of empirical data of people. And you could go research online and all you'll see is people that say, this was my miracle. This is my miracle. This is my miracle. My doctor said this could never reverse and it reversed. We have doctors that had irreversible kidney failure or liver failure, doctors who had irreversible, and now they are on our website telling people, I cannot explain from my medical training. However, this protocol reversed my irreversible. So whatever someone has, I'll just share a quick story, guys. Listen, the first 11 years I did this, Adam, I was still in banking, but this was my noble cause. So I had a huge team. I had a giant organization. And so I could do this. I worked about an hour to 2 hours a day in banking. And I spent 8 hours a day doing this for free for 11 years. And for those 11 years, Adam, when people came to me and said, John, can you help me with my bone-on-bone hip, my bone-on-bone knee, my neck pain, my back pain, my Lyme's disease, my Crohn's disease, my Hashimoto's, whatever they said, I had one answer, Adam, for 11 years. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, I love that. And
that was it.
That's kind of science. Part
right?
of the science is that the discovery of trying, based on information you have. And try. I was like, no, that can't be done. I'm like, man, you're wrong.
Yeah.
but
So,
go
so
ahead.
11 years, I don't know. Let's see. Now, after 11 years, Adam, I changed my answer to, we've had 100 people reverse what you have. We believe you can reverse, because that is our true empirical data. That's what we really saw happen to. Now, this wasn't 10 or 20. No, this was over 2,000 people, closer to 3,000, by the way, over those 11 years. And then I had an amazing thing happen to me. I was part of this kind of like an Eagles group of businessmen, super high level guys. And the number one guy in our group, I'm not going to name drop who he is, but you know who he is. But this guy sits me down one Friday morning, 7 a.m. We met from 5 to 7. He sits me down in his office, knee to knee, toe to toe, pointing his finger in my face. He said, "John Jubilee, you have to go full time in health and wellness." He said, "You are going to change the world." He said, "No one can heal people like you can heal these people." He said, "I can't believe the miracle stories in my own office, let alone what I've heard in our community." He said, "I got 800 employees. I'm going to give you my whole staff for free." He said, "You got to go do this. This is your God calling." And when he said that, Adam, I was dumbfounded, and I walked out of his office and I said a simple prayer. I said, "God, are you really calling me to go help people be well?" And he said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "Well, what does that look like?" And, you guys that are listening, it was like my palms were raised to heaven. My palms were raised to heaven. My hands were over my head. He said, "It looks like this." I said, "Well, what is this?" He said, "I'm going to give you every connection. I'm going to give you every resource.
Yeah.
You're going to go make people healthy."
God, when you pursue his path, he will provide the provision, the people, and the promise with it. That's awesome.
And Adam, in 72 hours, I gave away my company. I burnt the bridge. I notified every one of my banking clients, said, "Never call me again. I'm out. Call this guy or call this guy." I gave them 2 references to call. I burnt the bridge. That was 18 years ago. And over this next 18 years, it's been the joy of my life. We have been able to help tens of thousands of people reverse every ailment, reverse every disease. We have pro athletes that do our protocol. They get 50% stronger in 88 days, by the way, even if they're a professional athlete. Of course, this makes their tissue way softer. So a lot of you know this, but most people don't. Most professional athletes or high-level athletes or bodybuilders or weightlifters, they all have soft tissue injuries. But when your tissue is softer, and it's not like beef jerky, it's soft tissue, of course, it is way less likely to ever have an injury. And even if it does, it'll heal way faster. So anyone that's in any of those categories, even someone that just wants to reverse age and be super healthy, like maybe you're one, what we call elite. I have an elite program, Adam, which is for the people that they've already done everything. They're doing the red light therapy, the cold plunge, they're taking all the right supplements, they're working out, their body fat is low. We can still help those people to increase their strength 50%, optimize their body at the cellular level. And I tell people all the time, and you know this, your largest organ in your whole body is your skin.
Yes.
Your skin. So when your thyroid and heart and kidney and liver, when all those are healthy, of course your skin looks 20 years younger, because you're all optimized on the inside. I tell people, I don't have any special skin regimen. I don't get fillers. I don't do anything, by the way. I'm all no testosterone, no peptides. I don't do anything. I just do intracellular hydration. Now, the good news is people that do all that stuff, this is putting like a river of living water flowing through your body.
Yeah.
So when you have a river of living water, even if you would have a negative side effect from anything that you're taking, this will flush it out. So I tell people this is the perfect ride along. And look, and I'm not an advocate of, steroids and all that stuff, but look, I have 100 friends that use all that stuff. I live in Orange County, California.
Yeah.
And the gyms I go to, they're super high level influencers, and those guys are taking 5 or 6 or 7 things. But guess what? When they meet me, they say, "John, I need to do what you're doing." because for my world, I need to take this stuff. And I know your thing will push out the inflammation and take away my side effects. And guess what, Adam? It does. So these guys are still my friends. I have no condemnation. You know what I'm saying?
What I think is interesting too on that, if let's just sidetrack the conversation for a moment, let's come back to it. Like when I remember when we first met, you talked about your bench press. I think it was your bench press record, which was because you have something, it was like a world record or something, you've done something.
Yeah, no, I have the world record for, world records in weightlifting are on weight class. So for 200 pounds and under, the bench press record was 541 for one rep. It was 541 for one rep.
Which is insane. Even at my peak, I think I probably got to 475 was maybe in that.
Dude, well, guess what? There's not 1% of people in the world, that have ever even lifted 400 pounds. So you're in the 1%.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You're in the 1%. And so
you went and tackled this. You want to tackle that, huh?
Well, just because one day at the gym, I was lifting 525 and these guys came up and said, dude, that's like a world record. And I kind of chuckled and came home to my wife, and hey, baby, the guys at the gym said I'm like a world record.
Yeah.
I just thought it was fun, and so then she started Googling and she's the one that came back and said, honey, 541 is the world record. She said, do you think you could do it? I said, babe, I don't even lift for strength. I just lift for health. And I really do. I set a goal in 1997 to increase 1 pound a month. Cause I could bench press 200 pounds twice. And I said, I'm going to increase 1 pound a month. That's like a quarter of a pound, 4 ounces a week.
Yeah.
It's a small goal,
yeah.
But 29 years is a long time, Adam. 29 years is a long time. And so,
but people don't realize like that should be, that's how you build businesses. Increase 1%. Like that's how the top traders in the world, they want to get 2%. If I can get 2% a day, I get 2, like these little percentages stacked over time. Most of the time is we're not disciplined enough to be patient. We want the dopamine spike of the big thing versus just that consistent build. And when when the younger guys at the gym ask me like, man, what's your secret? Like, dude, I've been working out for 30 years. Just be consistent, right? And not focus on some big movement, but slowly building. Cause I want to be, like you said, you got some time on me and being the strongest and healthiest you've ever been. I want to say that in my 60s, right? I want to say that in my 70s. And with where things are going in health, the opportunity to do that is there, but it's not going to be doing it the way everything's always been done. In order to have a different outcome than what we're currently experiencing,
that's it.
For health, is we have to start looking and doing things different, which is why it was so awesome to have you on the podcast.
No, so really.
Tell me about wrap up the bench press. So did you go eventually do it?
Yeah. So anyway, kind of on a fun note, the next day I told my wife, I go, well, honey, if I'm doing 555 because I'm a numbers guy. I'm a banker. I got to do a cool number. 541 is not a cool number. I'm going to do 555. And she goes, baby, just do 541. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And so then I gave a call to a really good friend of mine, Julius Maddox. Julius Maddox is the strongest man in the world. He benches 792, Adam. 792. Without a shirt. He's a raw bencher, 792.
That's insane.
And so I called Julius up. I said, Julius, I go, you think I could set this world record? He goes, John. He goes, oh my gosh, dude, I'm telling you, you could do it. He said, you don't even live for strength. He said, he goes, let me just coach you a little bit. He said, I'm going to give you some things to do a little bit different than what you usually do because he goes, I know you're just a health guy. And because I'm not a weightlifter, Adam, I'm a health guy.
Yeah.
So he did. He gave me some interesting little tweaks to do, which I will tell guys, this is a fun point. The most I ever lifted training for a 555 lift was 465. But he just told me to do that as many times as I could, And this because you've lifted a lot, and actually I'll just ask you to kind of tell the audience, when you start lifting over 400, what happens to that bar?
So it's bending.
It bends. People don't even know that, Adam.
And it can freak your brain out a little bit.
Well, it can freak your brain out and it can tweak you, right? It can hurt you. And so anyway, Julius knows me well. And listen, I'm not a 1 rep kind of guy. I've never been a 1 rep guy. I lift for health. And so I do stuff that I could do at least 5 times, Adam. I've never done a 1 rep mat because I have no ego. So I'm telling you all that because when I realized how much weight that was and how many times I was going to push it, I said, nah, I'm not willing to let that bar, get that wobble on me. And, I can't hurt a shoulder or something. My whole life is health and wellness and fitness. And I've been safe my whole life. I've never had an injury lifting weights.
Praise God.
And so Julius said, John, it's still a free weight. Do it on a hammer. He said, do a hammer lift. He said, it still counts as a free weight. He said, but it's a little bit harder because you don't have any momentum. You have to start.
And you don't have flexibility, which sometimes is good, but sometimes like the isolation side of it. But
yeah. So you get it. You're a weight guy. So anyway, I said, well, if I am going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'll do it then. I'll do it on the hammer strength. And so long story short, guess what? I ended up going in there. Julius showed up to support me in there, and I did 555 14 times.
It's insane.
And when I did that, Julius Maddox looks at me, and you understand, it means a lot coming from Julius Maddox. Julius Maddox looks at me, he goes, John Jubilee, he goes, that is one of the greatest feats of strength I've ever seen in my life.
Superman stuff.
And I said, Julius, you do 792. He goes, John, I weigh 440. I do it 1 rep. I don't do double my body weight more than 1 rep. He goes, you just did triple your body weight 14 times. He goes, dude, that's amazing.
That is, dude, it's amazing. That's insane. So, and I just think that's cool. I think it's a cool part to add to the story of just like what's possible for people when they start looking under the rocks that no one's looking under, which you've been looking under for, almost 30 years. So what are some things like, talk a little bit about, unpack this intracellular. I think, we'll have some time. I'd love for you to share your contact info for people that are interested in working with you. But if there's somebody who's just curious and they're like, hey, I want to learn about this. I want to understand more about this. I want to see if it's for me, even though it's for everybody, what can you share? Is there something like to understand it a bit more? How you do it in your cellular? Is it a supplement you take with as you mix your water? Because you see stuff with like hydrogen water and all of the things about water. I consider myself somewhat of a water snob, and I met you and realized there's a whole different level of hydration that we're not talking about. So share some stuff like as far as that.
Sure. Well, first of all, Adam, you and my wife is a water snob. So I laugh at it because, I'll just share with the audience. So listen, I don't care if you're a water snob. My wife, who I love more than, anyone in this universe and admire, she's the greatest. She is so picky about her water, Adam. Now, me personally, in my scientific research, I wanted to know, is there a value of drinking a specific type of water to get it inside the cell? So I researched, hydrogen water, Kangen water, alkaline water, reverse osmosis ionized water, restructured water, you name it, I researched it. And here is just the real science. This is the bottom line answer, guys. Because again, I don't care what the truth is. I just want to know what the truth is and share truth with people. So I was not tied to any outcome. There is no magic water. There is no water that's better than another water. No, the key is to transform the cell from being hard like a glass marble to porous like a sponge.
Okay.
That is the secret. That's what every one of us need. We need cells like sponges, not like marbles. Water is water. And I can tell you this scientifically. I drank tap water for 3 years to test this, to prove it. I drank tap water.
That California tap water. Oh, wow.
And my intracellular hydration is at 60 to 62% for 29 years straight, even when I drank tap water. Now today, guess what water I drink? I use a Brita, like a $30 Brita that you could buy at Walmart.
Yeah. My wife always tells, like, she's not a water snob. I have like cases of glass, like Aquapana, but I don't know, it's like that cold glass. It tastes different, man.
Hey, dude, my wife drinks like you. My wife drinks some kind of spring water that she gets at a special place. And
yeah, that's it. Only spring water. All my kids know too, which is funny. If we go to a restaurant and they set like a glass of water on, my kids are like, that smells like the toilet, Dad. Cause they've never had, I've been such a, like, no, you don't, we only drink spring water. I've been whatever. It is what it is. And there's different conversations to that. But to your point though, that I love that you found that regardless of the water, the intracellular like kind of penetration, if you will, didn't matter. You're kind of agnostic about the water.
Yeah.
So what changes it? How do you get it into your cell? How do you turn those cells into sponges instead of marbles?
Yeah. No, and I'll get into that. I have to share a fun story. I was invited to the special chamber of the United Nations a few years back, and sitting beside me was Dr. Perricone. So I walked in there and bumped right into Steve Forbes because he was there to, share about finance, and I was there to share about science. But I'm sitting beside Dr. Perricone, and when he heard what I shared, he wanted to partner with me on a hydrogen water company. So he invited me to come to his personal home in Florida and partner with him. And I just said, I am so sorry. I don't mean to burst your bubble, but there's nothing magical about your hydrogen water. And I'm happy for you that you invested $10 million in hydrogen water. And I hope you sell a lot of it. Because at the end of the day, I am a water fan. I'm a water fan. So I don't care what water you drink. I don't care if you buy a $5,000 Kangen machine or you buy your special glass water, or my wife buys her spring water. You're not going to get hydrated by drinking water. You have to transform your cell. You have to go through but you do still have to drink water. You have to drink water. You can't get hydrated without it. But there's a 12-step protocol that people need to go through. There's 12 things that we all need to do to open up that cell so that it can become porous like a sponge. And the beautiful thing is, when that healthy hydration gets in there, it lights up those mitochondria like a thermonuclear power plant. And that's why you get what I call the healthy glow. You get this healthy glow to your skin, your muscles. This is why I can tell every pro athlete. I guarantee my professional athletes and my elite people in writing, I say, no, I guarantee your strength will go up 50% in 88 days, or I'll refund your money.
Wow.
That's how much I know the power of intracellular hydration is like the power of a hydrogen bomb inside your muscle. And I know most of these people can't see us, but you can see me. I mean, I look like a healthy guy, but I don't look like a weightlifter, right?
No, yeah, you're fit, you're strong, and there's that glow. I think has become popular. Certain peptides or certain aesthetic things promising this glow. But you're right. Like you can, and I think we've been trained to. You and I have gone through is you can look at people. I can look at someone, tell you how unhealthy they are, and likely start picking out areas that their problem is. And a lot of it is dehydration. I can look at your skin in seconds, and I can tell you that you don't have enough water. Your muscle bellies, like it's funny that people spend time with me long times that they're blown away at the lifestyle. I don't work out a ton. I work out like maybe 3 to 4 days a week for 30 minutes, right? I like to get some walks and steps in. I don't need to. There's a level of intensity. I'm intentional with my food, but I don't always eat clean. And I'm intentional with my rest, but I don't always sleep as many hours as I should. But there's certain things that I think with optimizing your body and this intracellular hydration is one foundational thing that's vital to get the most out of the effort. And imagine like if you don't, if people doing 10x the effort and getting, they're getting a nickel for every dollar they put in versus getting $5 for every dollar you put in. There's a difference. And I think just the chemical and biological makeup in the body really, really has a lot to do with that. So are you able to share like any of the steps of the,
Yeah, I will.
Part of the curtain you can pull back?
Absolutely. No, I'll love to share a few things. And I love what you just said, Adam. And I want to encourage people, that is real. Like that is real. When you talk about, and again, I'm just going to share mine. So I work out at the most 4 days a week for 30 minutes. 4 days a week for 30 minutes. That's my workout. And I eat everything in moderation. I eat everything in moderation. Okay. So I have 8 kids. I still have 3 left at home. I have twin 12-year-old boys and a 15-year-old in California. You know what that means? In-N-Out burger. That's right.
I did In-N-Out 1 week.
Yeah. So
4x4 animal style.
Come on, man. We do the In-N-Out. We do Chick-fil-A. We eat real food like a real family. And when people come up to me and they'll say, man, I know who you are. What the heck are you doing eating that? And I say, dude, I built my house. Now I'm living in it. And they're like, well, tell me how you can, seriously. I say, look, this is like resetting your metabolism back when you were 15 years old.
Yes.
No 15-year-old wakes up and says, I got to have tofu and wheatgrass today.
Right.
No, they know they can eat whatever because they got a great metabolism. And so, and again, I'll quickly say though, in moderation, but Adam, I love it that you shared that. So yeah, this protocol is sustainable. So I've been doing this now for 29 years. As I say, number one thing, guys, is not looking good. It's feeling good. It just so happens it's a side effect. It's a side effect that you look good. And it's a side effect that your skin and your hair, looks really good. And Adam, you'll get a kick. I have these women that reverse lupus and Crohn's disease, and all they talk about is their skin and their hair.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, my skin and my hair.
You're bringing life, like you said earlier, you're bringing this like life water flowing back into your system, and it just changes the chemistry inside of your body. And it, I don't know enough to say it reverses, but I'm sure it substantially slows down this continuous degenerative state that most people are in, right? We're speeding it up. My biological age, I think, was 35. I'm 46 last time I checked. And I have a new test that just went out. I'll get the results back to see. But there's a real part, of reversing age, not on a chronological scale, but on a biological genetic scale. And that most of us are just dying internally faster than we should. And again, that's why you're getting 10 cents for every dollar you invest in yourself versus 5x the return on that dollar. Right. And I think like what you're talking about is a foundational way to change that, getting everything better.
Yes. Well, it is. And I'm going to share some steps here with people, but I will quickly tell people that in 1997, I read a Bible verse, Deuteronomy 33:25. And it's what you just said. It said, as your years are, so shall your strength be.
Yes.
And otherwise, the older we get, the stronger we're going to be. And that's when I set my goal to increase 1 pound a month.
Yeah.
And I laugh saying it because it's what you said also earlier, right? So it didn't sound like a lot, but 29 years is a long time to increase 1 pound a month. It added up. It added up.
That's awesome.
And so I truly believe the Bible says Moses was 120 full strength, full power, and his eye was not dim, which means he didn't need glasses. And so I could prove biblically, no, we're supposed to live at least 120 years at full strength and full power. And so that's what we're doing. What's
funny. I just redid some stuff with my life insurance this year. And when we were looking at it with the guys I work with, who's a longevity guy, I should introduce you to, I'm going to, his name's Curtis. He's in California, but he's like, hey, they haven't factored in rates of living past like 100, 110, 120, like I'm 46 and with where things are going. And I kind of call it that if you don't get hit by a bus, like I plan to live to 120 and have like Moses strength. People are like, that's crazy. Why is that? That's not crazy. I've already made the decision here, and that's being communicated inside my body that like, dude, this is what we're doing. Maybe it's 150. I don't know. I'm open to it of living long, strong, and healthy. And I want to explore all of the things that modern technology and wisdom is showing up, and I'm going to do it and check it. And so I think that that's awesome. But when I was redoing my life insurance and it was showing this like, hey, dude, at 120, like this thing's worth $500 million. And it's where most people are like, well, if I can live to 76, no, dude, I'm going all in. I'm going to go. And there's an opportunity but a lot of these in the life insurance space, they haven't totally realized this longevity thing that you and I are talking about of like, if you're not an idiot, you can live to 120. If you just care and you're intentional, you're paying attention, you're integrating these things, living to 120 plus is not going to be like that. That's going to be the next 80 in 30, 40, 50 years.
Absolutely. No, and for the people that make the decision, and Adam, on a personal note, I mean it. Think about this, brother, for real. No, you could be the guy that breaks my world record because you're only 47 years old. Yeah. You're 20 years younger than me. You got 20 years to catch up, man.
Yeah, a pound a month. I like.
You could be the guy to break it, man. You're just a youngster.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, thanks for the.
No, 100%.
Yeah, so what are some of these steps?
Yeah, so let me share a couple quick steps. So So number one for anyone is, again, you're not going to get hydrated drinking water, but you can't get hydrated without drinking water. So start the healthy habit. Even if your cells are as hard as a glass marble, it's still a healthy habit to drink your water. So make sure you are drinking at least a gallon of water a day. And I don't care if you're a man or a woman or what your weight is, at least a gallon a day. And make sure that you have these 3 electrolytes. Make sure that you have sodium. That's right. Salt is good for you. Jesus said you're the salt of the earth. Salt is a good thing. Got to have your salt.
I salt my food and I make sure, and I do an like first thing in the morning, I do water with scoop of creatine and electrolyte, kind of a more natural version of that with salt. It's salt, drink that. And I also salt pretty much all my food.
Yeah. Well, the trifecta is sodium, potassium, magnesium. Sodium, potassium, magnesium. That's a trifecta.
Most people are significantly deficient on magnesium. I take, I think, 400 before bed, and I take a citrate, like a 200 citrate during the day. And that'll change the game of your energy for sure.
Yes. So that's number one. Get your water with your sodium, potassium, and magnesium, and make sure, again, that you're getting that in, all day throughout the day. You cannot drink too much water. You can drink too much water at one time. So if you drink too much at one time, you're going to flush out your healthy sodium. You're going to flush out your potassium, your magnesium. So don't do that. Drink it all throughout.
What about, distilled water? That's a no-no. Would you
No, absolutely not. No, do not drink a distilled water. No,
people don't understand that'll rip all the good stuff all out of.
Absolutely. No, that's like Drano. That's like Drano to your body. It will take everything out. It'll take the good stuff out. Yeah. Do not drink distilled water. Don't drink that. So your water. The other thing is get your movement going first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, especially for those people that need to lose fat. You have to make that a mandatory step. And the reason is this: you have your lowest amount of sugar, of glucose and glycogen first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. And so if you'll even just get up and go for a walk, get yourself in movement. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. That's just real science. So keep your movement going in your life.
And that's for me. I fast. The earliest I'll put a calorie in my body is usually 10, sometimes noon. And that's literally for me is water, protein powder, another scoop of creatine. I do about 10 grams a day. And drink it. That's it. And then my first meal would be at noon, or like today, I haven't had a meal yet. I just had the protein. So after you and I are done, I'll grab, a chicken and rice type deal. And it's not like it's, but just again, but part of that, and we did some content on it this morning, is just creating the habit. Like it's just what I do. I'm not like thinking of something else. It's just part of the routine for the habit.
Now, Adam, we're so aligned, and this is really what we've been teaching for 29 years is, listen, we're going to teach you 12 things that will become subconscious, healthy daily habits. You don't even have to think about it. Mm-hmm. It's just like you get up, you go to the bathroom, brush your teeth, comb your hair, whatever. Those just become your natural daily habits. That's what happens with these 12 steps in this protocol. So again, the first 3, get your water. Get moving first thing in the morning. And again, if you have fat to lose, just visualize this. That first 10 minutes, your body is only burning glucose because the body is efficient with what energy source it goes after. At minute 11.
I'm going to break that down. People don't know that, especially if food in your stomach is the first place it'll go. Then it'll go to sugar, and then it's going to go to fat. I'd say sugar, glucose. And that's why sometimes people don't even they're like, well, I do 20 minutes of cardio. And I'm like, you're not going to burn a ton of fat that way because your body's going to go to the path of least resistance from an energy source. You have to push it into a different level to get into that fat. And if you push it too far, though, you can get a catabolic level. That's why runners stay skinny because it's getting into the muscle fuel.
That's exactly right. So 10 minutes, it's eating glucose. The next 10 minutes, it's eating glycogen. Then at minute 21, it goes to get the fat. And that's why what you said, we're alleviating the food in the stomach because we're doing it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. So we make it go eat glucose, then we make it eat glycogen. Now it starts to go eat that fat. And first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, guys, you could get triple the fat burn. So get up, get yourself moving. So these are your first 2 steps. And then your third one, and again, I just like to keep things simple for people, is just cut out your sugar and your white flour. It's not that hard to do. There's a million things you can eat. we only ask you, don't eat two things. Don't eat sugar. Don't eat white flour. White flour, if you put human saliva with white flour, it's exactly the same glucose level as white table sugar. So that's why we say take those two things out. And for those of you that have struggled with cancer or a family member, look, there's only one nutrient to a cancer cell. One. It is sugar. And so even if you have any cancer cells, this is part of our protocol. We're focusing on optimal health at the cellular level. So we want to make sure if you have a cancer cell, we're going to starve those cancer cells to death.
Yes.
And so we're saying, look, we're cutting these things out. And the protocol is only 88 days and 2 weeks, by the way. That's a cellular cycle of the human body. We can virtually reverse anything in 88 days and 2 weeks. So those are the first 3 steps I would give everyone to do. And again, if you want to learn the other 9, and Adam, I'll tell you something on a fun note. Most of what I call our elite people, they're doing 7 or 8 of the steps, but they're missing what we call the Fantastic Four. It's like, well, there's a Fantastic Four that when you add these, well, if you want to know how to set a world record as a senior citizen, you need to be doing these 4 things.
I love that. So what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you if they want you to take them through the full program, kind of handhold them custom the way you do it to help all these people you've helped? What's the best way for someone to find you other than John Jubilee? They can look you up, but
yeah, well, you know what? Well, we're not really big on the social media guys. Like I said, we don't try to build followers, subscribers. No, we help real people, and we do help tens of thousands. And the easiest way to contact us is go to our website, which is Energized, ENERGIZED, energizedhealth.com, and just click on book a call. And the reason we do that, Adam, is we don't have any salespeople. We have no marketing and no sales.
Yeah.
In our
when you
company.
build a good reputation, my telehealth company I sold in 23, we never did any marketing. We didn't do any social media. We just got referred, and I worked with pro athletes, celebrities, like some of the biggest names in government and in business, just because we had a good reputation, right? I mean, people, and I know that your work speaks for itself, and you don't have to do all those deals and play all those games when you actually have
again, Adam, I'm smiling just personally about how aligned we are and how similar we're, like a kindred spirit.
Yes.
Because people can't believe it. We're on the Inc. 500, not the Inc. 5000, Inc. 500. We're the 356th fastest growing company in America.
Wow.
And I have a couple thousand followers, no subscribers. There's no marketing. There's no social media. No, we're just focused on helping real people.
So you're busy doing the work. Yeah, just busy.
We're busy doing real work, helping real people. But when people book a call at energizedhealth.com, you hit that book a call, you're going to talk to a real person. It might be a 20-year, 30-year retired nurse who quit nursing after they did this, Adam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because they got into nursing to make people well, and they realized, hey, Energized Health really makes people well. So everyone has their own miracle story. No one's going to try to sell you anything, though. They're just going to share a possible experience to solving your problem.
I love that. I coach a lot of, doctors, a lot of practices, a lot of clinics, and I could tell right out of the gate when somebody has a really good business model for health, when a lot of the people that work for them were patients that were like, I need to do this now because they got the relief that they want to help other people do. And sometimes those businesses just lack some, maybe some systems, processes, maybe it's marketing or something like that. But I love when it's like the people that work there are the people that were patients first. And I love that you shared that's a telling sign of the success.
Listen, Adam, man. Can I brag on my team for a minute? Last month, I think we had 12 people that I knew of that were working for free on our team that were just so excited. They said, hey, I just believe in what we're doing. No, they were working for free, helping people, just sharing their real story.
I love that. That's amazing. Well, listen, we're at time now, but thank you for being on. It's always great to see you and speak with you. And I always learn something, and I hope everybody listening got, I think there's a lot taught here today. And I think, can physicians reach out to you too, to maybe learn this? Like, is that an option too? That, because we have a lot of docs on here that listen. And then obviously I think potential patients that might be interested, going to Energized hydratehealth.com, booking a call. If there's some docs that want to learn more from you, is that a way that can they reach out to you as well?
They can. And when those doctors reach out, we have a partnership program with doctors so that doctors can offer this. This is fully medically approved, by the way, for all the doctors. There's also insurance codes that only doctors can add.
Wow.
So not only can they offer the protocol, but they also have insurance codes that they can have that generates extra revenue, but still providing a great benefit to their patient,
It's amazing.
which substantiates all of the quantitative changes in their health. So for all the doctors out there, I'm telling you, if you have a patient that has 12 red markers, we can guarantee them they'll all be green markers in 88 days and 2 weeks. You're going to look like the superhero as the doctor who helped them with a natural, real way. And it is an amazing way to build your business and your practice to exponentially build it, because you have walking billboards all over the place of what happened. And we have great medical stories we can share with you.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of docs I work with that are going to be interested in connecting with you to integrate that into their root cause functional health practices. Those docs love that stuff.
Yes.
So, hey, listen, John Jubilee, you're an amazing guy. Like I said, hopefully I told you guys at the beginning, he's one of the most interesting guys I know. Awesome story, and just a great man of God on a mission to help as many people as possible. And I love that. And I would hope to be in that category and description myself. And so thank you for coming on here, bringing tons of value, being a great guest and a great friend, and just a great person to mankind, wanting to help people get better and heal people. And the stories are amazing. I hope people reach out to you at energizedhealth.com to find out more. We'll put all your information in the show notes. And for those of you listening, make sure that if you are not subscribed to please subscribe. Share this episode with somebody. There's no way, if you know someone that's interested, that somebody, maybe they're dealing with a chronic illness, they've lost all hope. Maybe this episode saves their life. Share this with them. And please remember to like and subscribe this episode. We thank you for being here. I'm Adam Lamb with the 1% Doctor podcast. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the 1% Doctor. Please be sure to subscribe to the show, where you're able to consume more podcasts, get more value, and learn more about doctors potentially just like you. Please tell a friend, review the show, and we'll see you in the next episode.